You open your mind to the dark, to the infinite stretch that lies between points of light. It is not truly black, not the heavy, suffocating darkness of a closed room, but something softer, wider, with a faint shimmer at its edges. The universe is vast beyond imagining. Yet, in this quiet space, there is a kind of intimacy. You are small, yes, but not insignificant. You are a part of this breath, a molecule in the lung of creation. You drift between galaxies, where silence is not emptiness but balance. The space between them hums faintly with relics of ancient light, photons stretched thin by time, still whispering their origins. This faint afterglow is the cosmic microwave background, the soft echo of the universe's first breath. It fills every direction you look, though you cannot see it with your eyes. You can only feel it, a faint, warm sigh that has never stopped since the beginning. Close your eyes and you can almost hear it, the universe expanding, like lungs rising slowly after a deep inhale. A long, unhurried exhalation follows, galaxies drifting apart, the very fabric of space stretching thinner. It is a rhythm older than stars, older than light, older even than the meaning of time. At first, this expansion might seem abstract, like numbers on a distant page. But imagine this instead: dots of light on a vast balloon. As the balloon inflates, every dot moves away from every other. No center, no edge, only expansion itself. You are not watching from the outside. You are part of the surface, part of that gentle outward movement. Space does not push galaxies through itself, it is the movement. The galaxies simply ride along. You float in this slow swell, and suddenly, it feels almost like breathing. Not yours, not the Earth's, but the universe's own respiration. The cosmic breath is not bound to lungs or air, but to time and energy, to the unfolding of dimensions. It is patient, unending, and so very calm. Between galaxies, matter thins into near-nothingness, a handful of atoms per cubic meter. Yet that nothing is not void. It vibrates faintly with potential. Gravity stretches across the emptiness, connecting worlds that will never meet. Invisible threads hold everything in a delicate dance, like dew on a spider's web glimmering in starlight. You begin to sense that the universe is not silent at all. It is full of quiet motion, vibrations, tides, and flows, all too subtle for the ear but deeply felt by the soul. There is a kind of paradox in this stillness. The farther you drift from light, the more alive the darkness becomes. Even in the space between galaxies, particles collide, radiation murmurs, and magnetic fields curl like ghostly vines. Every atom that once belonged to a star or planet carries a faint memory of its origin. Hydrogen from the first seconds after the Big Bang, carbon born in the hearts of suns, oxygen scattered by dying giants. In this way, you too are the universe breathing itself in and out, in endless cycles of transformation. If you listen deeper, you sense a faint ripple, the soft quiver of gravitational waves moving through the fabric of spacetime. They are echoes of cosmic events too distant and ancient to imagine. Black holes merging, neutron stars colliding, galaxies brushing past one another. These waves pass through you without resistance, like wind through mist. You do not feel them, yet they are always there, gentle evidence that the universe remembers its own movements. You begin to see time differently here, not as a straight path but as an ocean. Each galaxy is a wave crest, rising and falling, moving outward. The light from one shore takes billions of years to reach another. When you look up at the night sky, you are not looking outward. You are looking backward, seeing ancient breaths frozen in their earliest glow. The Andromeda galaxy, faint and blue, is not where you see it. It has already moved. You are witnessing its ghost from 2.5 million years ago. This realization brings a strange comfort. The universe does not rush. It expands at its own pace in slow cosmic rhythm. No galaxy hurries, no star worries about its glow. Everything unfolds as it must. And you, with your racing thoughts, your heart that beats faster than time, you begin to slow down, matching your inner rhythm to the universe's exhale. You breathe in the stars. You breathe out their light. You imagine your lungs expanding like nebulae, each inhale filled with stardust, each exhale dissolving into infinity. The atoms in your breath were once inside the cores of ancient suns. Every time you breathe, the cosmos breathes with you, the same hydrogen, the same carbon, the same rhythm of transformation. And as you drift through this dark symphony, you realize that the space between galaxies is not absence but balance. Without this space, galaxies would collapse into chaos, light would have nowhere to travel, and time would have no direction. The void gives shape to everything that exists. The stillness gives meaning to every motion. The silence gives birth to every sound. Perhaps the universe expands not to escape itself, but to make room for more stories, for new forms of light to be born, for consciousness to awaken in different corners of space. Every second that passes, more stars ignite, more worlds begin, more possibilities unfold. The breath continues, smooth and endless. You wonder if, somewhere beyond the farthest galaxies, the expansion will one day pause, a final exhalation before a cosmic rest. Some scientists imagine it might slow, stop, and reverse, a great inhale pulling everything back together. Others believe it will go on forever, fading into colder and quieter stretches until even time forgets to move. But here, in this moment, the question does not matter. All that matters is the now, this vast, living stillness you share with the stars. You begin to feel your own heartbeat as part of a larger rhythm. Your pulse, your breath, the universe's expansion. All one, all connected. You are not apart from the cosmos. You are its awareness of itself. Through you, the universe contemplates its own wonder. Through you, it feels its own silence. Slowly, you drift back toward the glowing edges of a spiral arm, where stars gather like grains of golden dust. The galaxies still move apart, but their light continues to reach you, carrying ancient warmth across impossible distances. You follow that light softly, steadily, toward the place where gravity begins to whisper again. The breath between galaxies becomes the pause before a new pull, a gentle reminder that even stillness has direction. The quiet expands into anticipation, a cosmic inhale before the first tug of gravity returns. And so, as the darkness hums with distant light, you begin to sense the next motion stirring. The universe leaning inward, preparing for its first whisper of gravity. You drift backward through the layers of time, past galaxies and stars, past the birth of light, until everything becomes a soft hum of warmth and density. The further you travel, the smaller everything feels, as if the whole cosmos could fit into the space between heartbeats. There is no sound here, no air, no up or down, only a great, glowing stillness pressing gently in every direction. This is the newborn universe, moments after creation. It is neither bright nor dark, but something in between, a thick radiance, everywhere at once. In its infancy, the universe is a fog of pure potential, where matter, energy, and space itself are tangled in one trembling breath. The Big Bang has already happened, but what remains now is the afterglow, the quiet exhale that follows the first cry. You float in that light. It does not shine outward. It simply is. Every point glows the same because there are no stars yet, no shadows to shape contrast. There is no form, no silence, no motion you could call your own. And yet, beneath the evenness, something subtle stirs. A pulse, a question, a faint imbalance. The universe, for a brief moment, almost pauses. Expansion, which had raced outward faster than imagination, slows. Space itself seems to hesitate, as though uncertain whether to keep moving or to rest. For this fraction of cosmic time, forces stand at a delicate truce. Gravity pulls inward, light pushes outward, and matter hums between them like a held breath. This is the moment of stillness, the first equilibrium, fragile and fleeting. It is in this stillness that structure begins. Tiny ripples of density, smaller than whispers, drift through the newborn fog. Some regions are ever so slightly denser, ever so slightly heavier, tugging faintly on their surroundings. Gravity, always patient, begins its slow work, not yet collapsing stars, but merely inviting matter to gather. These small differences will one day become galaxies, clusters, and everything you can see. But for now, they are invisible songs, faint vibrations in a vast and glowing sea. You can almost hear them, if you let your mind go quiet enough. A deep hum, rising and falling, like the breath of the universe learning its rhythm. Time stretches strangely here. Seconds and centuries feel alike, because there is no before or after yet, only now expanding. The universe does not know where it is going. It only knows that it must move. The forces it carries, gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear bonds, are still learning to balance one another. Each will find its place, its role in shaping matter and motion. And as they do, the cosmos begins to cool. The light that once burned too fiercely for atoms to hold together begins to soften. Protons and electrons, free and restless, start to find each other, forming hydrogen, the simplest, most patient atom of all. Every star that will ever shine begins here, in this quiet union. Hydrogen drifts through the cooling light like a mist of invisible seeds. The temperature falls, the pressure eases, and for the first time, light can travel freely. The fog clears. Space becomes transparent. What you would one day call the cosmic microwave background, that faint, ancient glow still echoing across the sky, is born in this release. It is the universe's first sigh of relief. You are suspended in this newborn clarity, where every direction holds the same gentle warmth. You can feel it against your skin, not as heat but as memory. The energy of creation itself still lingers in your bones. You are made of this same matter, this same light stretched thin across time. Every atom in your body once swam in the sea of brightness. Every thought, every heartbeat, carries the faint echo of that first pause. The universe expands again, this time with confidence. The whisper that said, "Go faster," grows stronger. Galaxies are not yet born, but the map of their future already lies hidden in these ripples. Gravity's patient handwriting across the canvas of space. Over billions of years, those ripples will amplify, gathering dust and gas, folding light into spirals and clusters. But in this moment, all of that still sleeps. It is easy to think of the Big Bang as an explosion, chaotic, loud, violent. But here, you understand that it was something more graceful, an unfolding. The universe was not thrown apart. It breathed outward, softly, endlessly. You realize that even creation itself has its moments of stillness, pauses in which balance and beauty emerge. You drift, weightless, through the gentle hum. You sense that what holds everything together is not chaos, but harmony. A deep, unseen agreement between forces that could have undone one another, but instead chose coexistence. Every particle seems to remember this balance, as if written into its nature. The light continues to fade, but its warmth remains. Darkness is not absence, but space for new things to begin. You can almost feel the pull of time moving forward, like the slow tide of a great ocean returning to shore. The universe is not done. It has only just begun to learn what it can become. And yet, before it rushes ahead, there is one last heartbeat of stillness. A silence so vast that even light hesitates within it. It feels like peace, but also like potential. Everything that will ever exist, stars, planets, life, thought, waits quietly inside this calm, like the faint inhale before the next breath. You linger there, sensing that something immense is about to awaken. The stillness hums, a low vibration that fills your mind with both awe and gentleness. Then, softly, the rhythm shifts. Expansion stirs again, slow but unstoppable. Space stretches, distances widen, and the hum becomes a song. The first true motion of a universe ready to grow. You feel it carrying you forward, into deeper time, where clouds of hydrogen will gather, collapse, and ignite. The first stars will soon be born, and with them, light will find its shapes and shadows. You exhale with the universe, the pause ends, and movement begins anew. And as you drift with it, you wonder almost dreamily. If creation began with stillness, what will be born in the next silence the cosmos makes? You drift in the quiet between galaxies, where light travels for billions of years before finding a destination. The dark around you isn't empty. It breathes softly, full of invisible structure. Threads of gravity lace through this cosmic stillness, pulling stars and dust into vast webs that shimmer like frozen waves. You feel it everywhere. A patient pull, not urgent, not forceful, but eternal in its purpose. Gravity has always been the universe's caretaker. From the first moments after the Big Bang, it gathered chaos into form. Hydrogen, drifting aimlessly, felt its touch and began to fold inward. From that gentle gathering came stars, and from stars came everything else, light, warmth, and the matter that would one day become you. You imagine it now as an ancient hand cupping the universe in its palm, holding together all that tries to drift apart. Without it, galaxies would never have learned to spiral. Planets would never have found their steady rhythm around suns. Even the moon, in its quiet orbit around the Earth, owes its nightly dance to gravity's promise. I will hold you close. But promises, even cosmic ones, are tested by time. The farther you drift into the universe's history, the more you notice a strange change. Galaxies are no longer drawing nearer, they're gliding away. The space between them isn't static. It's growing, stretching, expanding faster than before. You feel it like a soft wind in reverse, not pushing from without but pulling from within. For billions of years, gravity has been trying to hold on. Every cluster of stars, every filament of matter, clings together, resisting the expansion. But something unseen whispers through the cosmos, quiet yet insistent, a kind of anti-gravity, though it doesn't repel the way magnets do. Instead, it makes space itself swell. Astronomers gave it a name both simple and mysterious: dark energy. No one can see it. No one knows what it's made of. And yet, it fills the universe, vast, constant, unrelenting. About 70% of everything around you is this invisible pressure, pushing galaxies apart like leaves drifting on a rising tide. You think of gravity now as an old friend, still trying to hold the universe together while dark energy gently undoes its work. Where once the cosmic web thickened, now the strands begin to thin. Clusters of galaxies drift farther from one another. The night sky, if you could live long enough to watch it over eons, would slowly lose its familiar lights. Galaxies vanishing beyond the horizon of visibility, too far away for their light to ever reach you again. It's a quiet kind of heartbreak. You can almost feel gravity's fatigue, not in surrender, but in acceptance. Like a musician whose final note lingers as silence takes its place. It still holds what it can. Stars and galaxies, planets around stars, moons around planets. But its reach is no longer infinite. The universe is slipping through its fingers. And yet, within what gravity still holds, life continues. On worlds warmed by their suns, oceans move in tides, lungs breathe air, and every heartbeat is an echo of that same pull. When you stand upon the Earth, you are standing within gravity's memory. You are part of its last great act, the holding together of everything that can still remain connected. You imagine yourself floating far above it all, watching the great cosmic tapestry stretch. What once seemed eternal now feels delicate. Galaxies that were once neighbors now become distant strangers. The space between them grows faster with time, like a river that widens as it flows. Scientists once believed that gravity might one day slow this expansion, that perhaps the universe would stop growing and begin to fall back upon itself. A big crunch, where all things return to a single point of unimaginable density. But the evidence whispers otherwise. The expansion is not slowing. It is speeding up. The universe is not collapsing. It is running away. You find comfort, strangely, in this truth. There is something deeply human in gravity's persistence, a refusal to let go, even as the inevitable unfolds. It reminds you of the way people hold hands when parting, knowing the distance will soon be too great. It's not about winning the struggle. It's about cherishing the connection while it lasts. You close your eyes and imagine what it would be like to feel both forces at once, the pull of gravity and the push of dark energy. One draws you inward, grounding you, giving you shape. The other calls you outward, into the unknown, into the infinite. It's the same balance that exists in all living things. The desire to stay and the longing to move on. Perhaps the universe, too, is following its own rhythm of letting go. You remember that even as galaxies drift apart, their inner worlds remain bound by gravity's quiet strength. Inside each galaxy, stars continue to orbit their centers. Within each star, nuclear fusion burns on, turning hydrogen into helium, light into warmth. Gravity is still there, writing structure into the chaos, whispering to matter, you still belong to something. In your mind, you see the future far beyond human time. A night sky growing emptier, the nearest galaxies fading from view, until only your own remains. The Milky Way, bound forever to its neighbor, Andromeda, merging in a slow, luminous dance. Long after that, even the stars will fade. The galaxies will grow cold. Yet the pull remains, invisible, unforgotten, gravity holding on to the very last ember of connection. You let the image settle like a sigh. The story of gravity is not one of defeat, but of devotion. It has no anger, no fear, only persistence. It continues because that is its nature. To hold, to gather, to bind. Even as dark energy stretches the cosmos wider, gravity's presence reminds you that structure and meaning still exist, even in a universe that grows more diffuse. If you listen closely, you can almost hear their conversation, the quiet dialogue between the two great forces. Gravity says, stay close. Dark energy whispers, grow free. And somewhere in the middle, the universe itself hums softly, balancing their tension like a note sustained between two tones. You realize, perhaps, that this isn't a story about loss at all. It's about balance, the eternal dance between holding and releasing, between the comfort of connection and the courage of expansion, between gravity's embrace and the openness of space itself. You take a slow breath and feel the pull of the earth beneath you, gentle, constant, faithful. It's easy to forget that this same force shapes galaxies, anchors suns, and curves the very fabric of spacetime. What you feel now, grounding your feet, is the echo of the cosmos' oldest instinct, to gather, to keep, to love by holding on. And as you exhale, you imagine the wider universe breathing with you. Expansion and contraction, connection and separation, the rhythm of creation still unfolding in silence. In the darkness between galaxies, gravity continues its patient work. It doesn't give up. It doesn't rage. It simply endures, a quiet promise written into the very bones of spacetime. And though the universe grows larger, colder, lonelier, there is comfort in knowing that somewhere, gravity still tries. It still holds what it can, still binds light to matter, still whispers to drifting worlds that they belong to something vast and beautiful. Perhaps that is the lesson hidden in the stars, that even in letting go, there is love. Even in expansion, there is meaning. The universe is not falling apart. It is learning how to breathe differently. And as you float in that realization, a new question begins to form, soft, curious, inevitable. If gravity is the force that holds things together, what is this other presence, this invisible tide, that urges the cosmos to drift apart? The answer, you sense, waits just beyond, a whisper in the dark energy. You drift deeper into the stillness between stars. Out here, there is no sound, no warmth, no edge to the dark. It feels like the end of everything, until you begin to notice that even this emptiness trembles. Space itself hums softly, like the faintest vibration in the silence of thought. It is not silence at all. It is the quiet breathing of existence. You imagine yourself floating through this void, your body weightless, your thoughts dissolving into the black. There's a strange comfort here, the sense that nothing is happening. And yet, everything is. The stars are scattered jewels, distant and unmoving. But beneath them, the very fabric of the universe is alive. What seems like nothingness is full of whispers, invisible flickers, fleeting sparks of energy that appear and vanish before you can name them. Physicists call them virtual particles, tiny pairs that are born together, live for a blink of time, then dissolve back into the quiet. One positive, one negative, like the inhale and exhale of the cosmos itself. You picture them as fireflies in the dark, lighting up the void in brief, silent flashes. Their dance is constant, unstoppable. Even when galaxies sleep, the vacuum stirs. This is not empty space, but a sea, a restless ocean of potential. And you, simply by existing, are floating in it. Everywhere in the universe, these flickers hum beneath what you see. They arise from the uncertainty that governs the smallest scales of nature. Heisenberg's principle, the idea that nothing can be completely still, not even the vacuum. If energy were ever truly zero, it would mean the end of possibility itself. But possibility never ends. It only hides, waiting in the dark. You breathe, slowly. Even in your own body, emptiness exists between atoms, within cells, across the spaces that hold you together. You are mostly nothing, yet that nothing is charged with invisible life. The same vacuum energy that fills the cosmos whispers between your molecules. It holds the scaffolding of being, the thin veil between something and nothing. Astronomers once thought the universe would slow down. Gravity, they believed, would pull it back together. Every galaxy leaning homeward, drawn by its own weight. But when they looked closer, when they measured the light from distant stars, they found something astonishing. The universe wasn't slowing. It was speeding up. A mysterious pressure was pushing everything apart. Galaxies drifting faster and faster, as if carried by invisible tides. No force like this had ever been seen before. It didn't shine, didn't weigh, didn't behave like matter. It was simply there, woven into the fabric of space itself. They called it dark energy. You imagine this dark energy as the softest wind, a breath too light to feel, yet strong enough to move galaxies. It doesn't push from outside. It rises from within, the quiet insistence of the vacuum, the echo of those virtual particles that will not stay gone. Every flicker adds up. Every tiny birth and disappearance tilts the balance. The sum of all those nothings becomes something vast. It is strange, you think, that the greatest force in the cosmos comes from emptiness. That what we call nothing might be the deepest kind of presence. Invisible, immeasurable, yet endlessly creative. In every cubic centimeter of space, energy hums, unseen. The vacuum is pregnant with potential, a cradle for all that is and all that will be. You float through it now, through this ocean of invisible pressure. It doesn't push you exactly. It holds you, like water holds a drifting leaf. In the stillness, you sense its vastness. The stars are not apart from it. They rise from it, like foam on the surface of a deep sea. You wonder what it means for something to be real. If space itself can hum, if emptiness can create, where does the boundary lie between existence and absence? Perhaps there isn't one. Perhaps the universe is a single, unbroken field, sometimes manifesting as stars and matter, sometimes as silence and dark. Even your thoughts seem to echo this pattern. A thought appears, burns for a moment, then fades. Yet from that fading comes the next. Consciousness, too, is a kind of vacuum fluctuation, a rhythm of appearing and dissolving. Your mind mirrors the cosmos, full of flickers that never truly vanish. The more you listen, the less empty everything feels. You begin to sense that the vacuum is not just a stage for the universe, but part of the play itself. Its energy drives the expansion of space, the separation of galaxies, the long unfolding of cosmic time. It is the pulse beneath creation. You picture the early universe, hot, dense, overflowing with light. Back then, the vacuum's hum was drowned in brightness. But as the cosmos stretched and cooled, the hum remained, steady and invisible. Over billions of years, it became the quiet pressure that shapes everything we see. And here you are, billions of years later, floating in its wake. The stars above you are frozen in their slow drift, yet you know they are moving, carried outward by the same hidden current that began long ago. Even now, as you breathe, that current flows through you. The thought feels both humbling and intimate. You are made of stardust, yes, but also of silence. You are the child of both energy and emptiness, the visible and the unseen. The vacuum's quiet persistence holds your atoms apart, gives space for your thoughts to exist, for light to travel, for galaxies to bloom. You let the idea settle. It feels less like knowledge and more like a kind of peace, that even the spaces between things are alive, that nothingness itself is fertile ground. Maybe that's what creation has always been. Not the spark, but the space that allows the spark to shine. The vacuum is not the absence of being. It is the possibility of it. You drift, weightless, through that invisible ocean. The hum is faint now, almost like the sound of your own heartbeat blending with the pulse of space. You can't tell where one ends and the other begins. And as you drift, you begin to wonder. If emptiness can hold energy, what else might it hold? What hidden shapes of time or matter wait, folded within the dark? You feel yourself leaning toward that question, softly, as if the universe is whispering an answer just beyond hearing. Perhaps, somewhere in the deep, the vacuum dreams, and from its dreaming, new worlds begin to rise. You find yourself floating through a universe that seems, at first glance, perfectly still. The stars do not rush. The galaxies hold their distance, suspended like lanterns in a great, black sea. This is the cosmos Einstein once imagined. Balanced, eternal, serene. In his equations of general relativity, the great unifying dance of space and time, he found that gravity alone would make the universe collapse. To hold it steady, he added something. A quiet force that pushed outward, a cosmic counterweight. He called it the cosmological constant. For a time, it worked. The equations settled, the universe stood still, or so it seemed. You can almost hear the sigh of relief from a mind that had held the entire cosmos in its grasp. But nature has its own rhythm, and silence is rarely eternal. Years later, as the evidence of an expanding universe emerged, the stillness cracked. Astronomers like Edwin Hubble peered into the deep night and saw galaxies moving away, their light stretched and reddened by the space between them growing wider. The universe was not steady after all, it was expanding. The constant, that small mathematical whisper Einstein had added, suddenly felt unnecessary. He erased it, calling it his greatest mistake. Yet the universe, in its quiet persistence, would not let the constant stay silent. You drift through the fabric of space, feeling its slow stretch beneath you. The galaxies are not moving through space. Space itself is growing, expanding, breathing. And in that expansion lies a mystery. Something unseen is pulling the fabric wider, faster, with time. Astronomers would name it dark energy, a force invisible yet overwhelming, composing nearly 70% of everything that exists. The cosmological constant, that forgotten symbol lambda, found its voice again. In the deep language of physics, it represents the energy of the vacuum itself, the restless hum of empty space. Even when all matter is gone, when every particle fades, the vacuum is not truly empty. It shivers with quantum possibility, fields flickering in and out of existence. These tiny fluctuations, summed over infinity, create a kind of cosmic pressure, a gentle push from nothing at all. You imagine it now, the void as an ocean not of water, but of pure potential. Each ripple invisible, each wave a whisper of creation and decay. The cosmological constant is the stillness within this sea, not a storm, but a steady tide. It is everywhere, always, inescapable. You breathe it in without knowing. Einstein thought of it as a mistake, an unnecessary patch on the beauty of his equations. But perhaps the universe was only waiting for him to listen more deeply. What he meant to silence was, in truth, the faint hum of something profound. The universe's natural tendency to expand, to reach outward, to keep becoming. In a way, the constant mirrors us, our need to balance forces that pull in opposite directions. The gravity that draws us home, and the quiet energy that urges us to grow beyond ourselves. Between them, we find equilibrium, however brief. Between the known and the mysterious, we live our own version of lambda. You drift farther, and the galaxies scatter like pollen on the wind. The farther you look, the faster they flee. The expansion accelerates, driven by this invisible energy. It is not a push in the usual sense, no gust of wind, no explosion of fire. It is woven into the geometry of existence itself, a property of spacetime's fabric. A kind of calm insistence that refuses to fade. The thought brings a strange comfort. Even the emptiest reaches of reality hum with something active, alive. Even the silence holds motion. You remember how often mistakes lead to understanding. How a misstep can open a door you never knew was there. In Einstein's discarded constant lies a quiet truth about the universe, and about curiosity itself. Science, like life, is not a march toward certainty. It is a dance with wonder, with trial and humility. The equations change, the constants evolve, but the seeking never stops. You think of Einstein late in life, walking beneath starlight, still pondering the equations he once believed complete. Perhaps he wondered if the constant had ever truly been a mistake, or if the universe had simply been patient, letting humanity catch up to what it already knew. Now, as you drift through that same starlit silence, you feel the echo of his thought in the pulse of the cosmos. The expansion is still happening. The space between galaxies continues to widen. Somewhere, light from ancient stars stretches thinner and thinner, fading toward invisibility, yet never reaching an end. The universe, it seems, does not rush. It only unfolds, and you too unfold quietly, gently, within it. The cosmological constant remains a mystery wrapped in simplicity. A single letter, lambda, holding the vastness of dark energy, quantum fields, and geometry in its curve. It teaches that what seems small may hold the infinite. What seems trivial may reshape the cosmos. And what seems like a mistake may, in time, reveal itself as truth whispered too softly to be heard at first. You exhale, as if joining the rhythm of expansion itself. The stars slide farther apart, not in loss, but in graceful surrender. Space is breathing, and you breathe with it. And somewhere between that breath and the next, you sense another question forming, not about what pushes the universe outward, but about what keeps it together, binding stars and galaxies, hearts and atoms, against the pull of endless separation. You lie still beneath the hush of night, your body weightless against the pull of gravity. Above you, the sky unfolds like a patient scroll, star after star, each one an old voice singing across unimaginable time. You can almost feel the light as it touches your skin. Ancient, worn thin by the journey, but still steadfast, still shimmering with memory. Every photon that meets your eyes tonight began its travel long before you were born. Some left their stars when the first forests rooted themselves in Earth's soil. Others began even earlier, from the collapse of suns so distant that their light began its voyage when the universe was less than half its current age. Yet here they are, arriving now with perfect timing, as though the universe waited for you to notice. You follow one beam in your mind's eye, tracing it back across the expanding void. It has stretched during its travel, like a breath exhaled over billions of years. Once, it was a piercing blue-white flare from a dying star, a supernova, blooming into brightness and then fading into silence. But as it journeyed across space, that light softened, reddened, and cooled, its wavelength pulled wider by the universe's growing frame. This soft redshift is more than color change. It's a message. It tells you that space itself has stretched since the moment that light began to travel. Every second of its journey, the fabric of the cosmos expanded beneath it, the very map of existence widening like ripples on still water. For decades, astronomers read this light as one might read the pulse of a living being. They measured how much the light had stretched, comparing near galaxies to faraway ones. They expected to find a slowing universe, one weighed down by its own gravity, tugging back against the momentum of its beginning. But the dimness of those distant supernovae whispered a different truth. The expansion is not slowing. It is speeding up. You imagine that discovery, a quiet astonishment that rewrote the story of everything. The scientists looked again and again, certain the data must be wrong. But the light was patient, insistent. It told a tale no one had expected to hear. The universe is learning to run faster, not slower, as though some invisible wind is pushing it outward. You picture this invisible force, what we now call dark energy. Not energy as you know it, not the warmth of sunlight or the hum of electricity, but a subtler kind of presence, woven into the fabric of space itself. It does not glow, does not pull, does not collide. It simply is, stretching everything apart, drop by drop, moment by moment. The thought feels impossible and yet deeply serene. You imagine space as a vast ocean, and every galaxy a drifting boat. There is no shoreline, no anchor, only the quiet swelling of the tide. That swelling is dark energy, gentle, constant, unhurried. The galaxies do not know they are moving. They float in stillness, each believing it is at rest. But between them the water rises. The light from the supernovae is your map to that movement. It shows you how fast the current flows, how much the water has risen since that starlight began its journey. Each photon is a messenger from a time when the universe was smaller, more tightly woven, still holding close its newborn heat. As you follow its path, you sense how everything, stars, galaxies, atoms, even the silence itself, participates in this quiet outward drift. You feel your own breath mirror that expansion. The gentle rise of your chest, the slow release. Inside your lungs, air molecules drift apart and come together in endless rhythm, a microcosm of cosmic breathing. Inhale, contraction. Exhale, expansion. The same rhythm that guides galaxies guides your body, written into the physics of your being. Somewhere, in the dark cradle of the universe, another star is dying tonight. Its final outburst sends new photons into motion, setting them on a journey that may take billions of years before they touch another consciousness. Light is not just illumination, it is continuity. It connects every moment, every observer, every question. You imagine standing at the edge of one of those distant galaxies, watching your own Milky Way recede. The light from your world, too, stretches as it leaves, carrying a record of oceans and trees and breath. One day, perhaps, another mind in another epoch will catch that light and wonder what it meant. What is light, really, that it can hold so much memory? A photon has no rest mass. It experiences no time. From its perspective, the moment it leaves a star and the moment it touches your retina happen at once. A single instant stretched across billions of your years. Light does not travel through time. It binds time together. It is the seam that holds past and present in one continuous now. That realization settles softly in you. Perhaps the universe is not rushing away from itself but unfolding in rhythm with its own light. Each expansion a breath. Each dimming supernova a heartbeat. The acceleration is not chaos but tempo, a pulse written into the geometry of space. You remember that the first time you saw the Milky Way you felt small. But tonight, lying still, you feel something different. You are not separate from that light, you are a part of it. The same photons that warm your skin once blazed in stellar cores. The carbon in your cells was forged in explosions like the ones whose fading glow now reveals the universe's story. You are both the observer and the evidence. Science often speaks in numbers, redshift values, luminosities, distances measured in parsecs. But beneath those equations lies something deeply human: wonder. The act of measuring the dimness of a dying star is, at its heart, an act of tenderness, a way of listening to the cosmos breathe. You picture the astronomers standing beneath domed observatories, peering into faint flickers through their telescopes. Around them, the Earth turns silently. Above them, photons fall one by one into glass and mirror. In those tiny flashes, they read the tempo of the universe. They listen as you are listening now. It humbles you to think that such quiet light could change our understanding of everything. That the story of acceleration, of dark energy and expansion, began with something so delicate as a dimming star. You realize that the universe reveals its most profound truths not through thunder, but through whisper. The more you think about it, the more you feel that acceleration is not just a property of space. It is also a metaphor. A reminder that even the vastest things do not always behave as we expect. Growth does not always slow with age. Some things, like curiosity, like love, like expansion itself, deepen and accelerate the longer they exist. Light is the teacher. It does not rush. It simply travels at the only pace it can, constant, unwavering. It never tires, never falters. Even when stretched and faded, it remains true to itself. In its patience lies its power. You feel that lesson in your own stillness now. There is no need to hurry understanding. The universe is patient. The photons that touch your eyes tonight have been traveling for billions of years just to arrive at this moment of noticing. You are allowed to take your time too. You close your eyes, and yet the journey continues. The light still comes, through eyelids, through imagination. You can see it now not as stars, but as threads connecting everything. From the supernovae that flared and faded, to the scientists who studied their faint glow, to the space between your breaths. In this web of illumination you find calm. You find belonging. The universe expands, but you are never apart from it. The more it stretches, the more clearly you see that everything remains connected, each photon, each heartbeat, each widening spiral of galaxies. And somewhere beyond all measurable distance, beyond the farthest redshift, there may be another kind of light, one not of stars but of origins. The glow left over from the first fire, still echoing faintly, still filling every corner of the cosmos. You feel its pull, its invitation, a hum at the edge of perception, a question that lingers in the dark. If this light shows us where we are going, what story does the first light still tell? You begin by picturing the night sky as a vast, dark sea. Not empty, but full of quiet potential. The stars seem still, scattered like frozen lights, but you know they are not. Beneath their stillness, something deeper is moving. Not the stars themselves, but the very space that holds them. You close your eyes and imagine that invisible fabric, spacetime, stretching gently, like silk drawn across the surface of the universe. It does not tear. It does not ripple in chaos. It expands slowly, gracefully, with the rhythm of cosmic breath. You are floating within it, weightless and aware, sensing that every heartbeat inside you keeps time with the expansion of everything. The idea seems impossible at first, that space itself can grow. Yet, it is not the galaxies racing through a void, but the void itself unfolding between them. You imagine two galaxies like small boats on a calm ocean. They do not row away from each other. Instead, the ocean swells, and the water between them rises and widens. That is dark energy's quiet work, the unseen hand that stretches the sea of spacetime itself. You think of it not as force but as permission, the universe allowing itself to become larger. Long ago, scientists thought the cosmos might slow down, pulled inward by its own gravity, collapsing like a chest exhaling after a deep breath. But when the light from distant supernovae reached Earth, it whispered something surprising. The universe was not slowing. It was speeding up. The expansion was accelerating, as if the cosmic breath had no intention of stopping. That realization reshaped how you think of time itself. Every second you live, every blink, every inhale, the distances between galaxies lengthen. The night sky you see is not static. It's a moving image, a portrait painted on an ever-stretching canvas. You imagine holding that fabric between your fingers, thin, weightless, but strong beyond measure. Its threads are woven from geometry and gravity, from energy and emptiness. The stars do not sit upon it. They are part of its weave, small knots of light in an endless pattern. Einstein once wrote that space and time are not separate things. They are one cloth, woven so tightly that you cannot tug on space without pulling on time. You picture this now. As space stretches, so does time itself. The universe's clock does not tick in uniform seconds but expands with its body. The more space unfolds, the more time opens its palms. You breathe out slowly, feeling that image settle. The cosmos expands, your breath follows. A soft parallel. Imagine being inside a balloon as it inflates. The galaxies are not moving through the air, they are part of the surface itself. As the balloon grows, the dots on its skin drift apart, even though none of them move on their own. That's the universe, a balloon whose skin is space, growing not into anything, but simply growing. There is no edge, no outside to push into. Expansion happens everywhere at once. Even here, you feel the wonder of that thought, that expansion is not out there but also within the room around you, within the space between atoms though too slight to measure. The same principle that drives galaxies apart hums in the background of your breath. You remember that light itself stretches as the fabric stretches. When photons travel across billions of years, their waves lengthen, their colors redden. Astronomers call this redshift, but you might think of it more simply as the memory of distance. Each photon that reaches your eyes carries not only brightness but the story of how far the universe has stretched since it began its journey. The oldest light, the cosmic microwave background, is still washing over you, a faint afterglow from the universe's first breath. It whispers across the entire sky, a soft static older than stars. You imagine lying beneath that whisper, hearing the hum of creation still singing, even now. What does it mean, you wonder, for the universe to expand forever? Does it grow toward something? Or is expansion its way of existing, of being alive? Perhaps the cosmos is not racing away from itself but unfurling, like a flower blooming into infinite dimensions. Dark energy, that mysterious, unseen cause, is not a force of destruction but of continuation, the invisible encouragement to keep unfolding. It may not be energy in the way you understand it. Perhaps it is simply the rule written into spacetime's code. Keep stretching. Keep breathing. You imagine touching that law. You feel it in the tension between moments, the pull between what was and what is becoming. The more you focus, the more it feels familiar. Expansion is not only cosmic. It happens in thought, in awareness, in understanding. As the universe stretches outward, your own mind stretches inward, expanding its reach into wonder. You picture the galaxies drifting farther apart, their light fading with time. Someday, distant worlds will disappear beyond sight, receding faster than light can chase them. The night sky will grow empty, and future eyes might see only their own galaxy, thinking it is alone. But you know, here and now, that the vastness is still there, unseeable but real. The expansion does not erase. It only carries everything farther into quiet. The quiet comforts you. Expansion, you realize, is not loneliness. It is the universe making room for itself, for every possibility to unfold without crowding another. In that way, the cosmos practices the same grace as breath. Letting go, making space, beginning again. You imagine yourself as a small part of that rhythm. The stretch between galaxies echoes the stretch between heartbeats. The growth of spacetime mirrors the growth of awareness. You are not separate from the fabric. You are one of its threads, vibrating softly with the same cosmic music. For a moment, you let your awareness dissolve into that unity. The line between you and the night sky blurs. You are both expanding in time, in thought, in being. You sense the pull of eternity not as distance but as openness. The stars above are like memory, light from long ago, still reaching you now. Each photon a traveler across the stretching sea, a message saying, everything that once was still touches what is. The expansion of the universe becomes a lullaby, the slow, unending hum that rocks galaxies to sleep. The farther you drift into this thought, the softer everything feels. The spaces between words, between breaths, between stars, all growing, quietly, endlessly. You feel gratitude, not for answers, but for the mystery that keeps stretching. A calm realization. The universe is not hurrying anywhere. It unfolds at its own pace, slow, steady, eternal. And as it does, you find rest in its rhythm. The stars remain. The space between them widens. The night continues to bloom, petal by petal, into infinity. And in that silent stretching, you wonder softly, if there is something somewhere that listens to the expansion too. You drift, softly, through the expanding night. Around you, the stars appear motionless, their glow frozen in the deep fabric of space. Yet something subtle is happening beneath this stillness. The very space between things is changing. It is stretching like a slow breath taken by the cosmos itself. And as it stretches, it carries galaxies with it, not through space, but within it. You notice how far away some galaxies now seem, their light faint and red, stretched thin like silk over distance. The farther you look, the redder the light becomes, as though the cosmos were gently fading into warmth. This is the redshift, the quiet signature of expansion. It's not because those galaxies are speeding through space like ships leaving a harbor. It's because the harbor itself, the ocean of spacetime, is swelling beneath them. Imagine painting dots on the surface of a balloon. As the balloon inflates, the dots don't move on their own, yet the distance between them grows. No matter where you stand, You are at the center of this swelling. This is what the universe does. Every observer, everywhere, feels as though everything else is receding from them. The universe has no middle, no edge, only a vast, uniform expansion, unfolding in silence. You float farther still. Now, your gaze reaches the distant edge of what you can see, the cosmic horizon. It is not a wall, not a boundary, but a moment in time. Beyond it, light from distant galaxies will never reach you, no matter how long you wait. The universe's expansion is simply too fast. Space itself is stretching quicker than photons can cross it. Those galaxies are not moving away faster than light. It's the space between you and them that expands. There's a delicate difference here, one that feels almost poetic. The speed of light, that sacred cosmic limit, applies only to things moving through space, not to space itself. Space-time can expand without restriction, pulling galaxies apart in a quiet dance of geometry. And so, you stand in a universe where distance can grow faster than light can travel, where the night sky is forever in motion, even as it looks perfectly still. You close your eyes and imagine the rhythm of it, the cosmic breath, the long inhale of creation. The universe is still expanding from the initial burst of the Big Bang, that ancient exhalation that began all things. But it is not slowing down. In fact, the expansion is accelerating. The cause, scientists whisper, is something unseen: dark energy. It fills the void, a mysterious pressure that drives galaxies apart, faster and faster, with no sound, no heat, no visible trace. You think of it as a tide, gentle, unstoppable, everywhere at once. Each second, each breath, more space is made. Galaxies do not drift outward like seeds on wind. Rather, the wind itself grows between them. The universe, once dense and hot, now cools as it expands, like the fading warmth of a long-forgotten day. Far beyond your reach, entire galaxies are now receding faster than light, not because they are breaking any law, but because they are carried by the swelling fabric of spacetime itself. Their light, emitted long ago, still travels toward you, but it will never arrive. It is trapped in an ever-growing gulf, the light forever stretched, fading into invisibility. The cosmos is saying goodbye, not abruptly, but with infinite gentleness. You wonder if this means the universe has an edge. But no, it is not an edge you can touch. It is a limit in time. To see farther is to look deeper into the past, toward a time when the universe was younger and smaller. Beyond a certain distance, the past itself becomes unreachable. The light has not had time to cross the swelling sea. The edge of what you can see is simply the edge of what light has managed to whisper to you since the beginning. It is a beautiful, lonely thought, that there are galaxies, whole clusters, entire cosmic realms that exist right now but are forever beyond your knowing. The light they shine today will never touch your eyes. You and they are now parted by an expanding infinity. Yet there is no sadness in this farewell, only a kind of quiet awe. The cosmos, after all, is still whole. Every part, seen or unseen, belongs to the same vast unfolding. As you drift, the night sky begins to shimmer differently. The constellations, familiar markers of your small corner of space, seem to fade in significance. You begin to sense the scale of it all, how the universe's expansion defines not only distance, but time itself. Every second that passes carries you further from the light that once left those galaxies. The future and the past are separated by this expanding breath, forever moving apart. You think of how, one day, countless billions of years from now, even nearby galaxies will slip beyond reach. Future beings, if any remain, may look up and see only the dim glow of their own galaxy, floating alone in the dark. The cosmic story will seem smaller then, the evidence of expansion erased by time. And yet, the truth will still be written in the structure of spacetime itself, quiet and eternal. The realization settles like a gentle wave of sleep, that everything, even light, has limits. The universe teaches this not with boundaries, but with rhythm. Expansion is not an escape, but a continuation. Light does not fail. It simply yields to the growth of space, becoming part of the background hum, the ancient whisper we call the cosmic microwave background. It is the afterglow of everything that was. You drift through that faint radiation now, photons older than any star, stretched by billions of years of expansion. They glow softly, uniformly, surrounding you like a cosmic lullaby. This is what remains of the beginning. A faint, even warmth, echoing across all directions, carrying the memory of the universe's first light. You realize that to understand expansion is to understand impermanence. Nothing stays still, not galaxies, not light, not even the idea of a fixed now. Every moment is carried forward, woven into the fabric of change. You feel this not as loss, but as motion, a reminder that stillness and movement coexist. In this quiet awareness, you begin to see the universe differently. Not as something running away, but as something unfolding. A blossom of spacetime that continues to open, petal by petal, into eternity. The farther it opens, the more softly its light fades, and the deeper your sense of wonder grows. Somewhere, beyond what you can see, galaxies continue to drift beyond the horizon. Not disappearing, but becoming stories you'll never hear. They are part of the same music, played in a key too slow for human time. You rest in that knowing, comforted by the scale of it all. The stars around you seem to pause, though you know they never truly do. The expansion continues, infinite and silent. You take one more breath, feeling the universe's pulse, not separate from your own, but woven through it. And as the light stretches beyond sight, you wonder softly, almost asleep now, if the universe can outpace light itself, what, then, might lie beyond what even space can hold? You lie in the quiet, and the universe stretches. Not just around you, but through you, in the empty chambers of atoms, in the soft pulse between heartbeats. There is no rush now, only the long, slow drift of everything that ever was. Once, the universe blazed with light, stars were born by the trillions, galaxies danced close together, and gravity was the composer of an endless, luminous symphony. But now, in your mind's eye, you drift far ahead, into an age where that symphony fades into silence. You imagine yourself floating in the dark, between galaxies that no longer glow, where space itself grows wider than thought can reach. Every second, the universe expands, quietly, invisibly, gently pushing distant galaxies farther apart. Even now, in this very moment, light from the most remote stars stretches thin, its wavelength growing longer, its color dimming into red, then into black. It is the softest unraveling, a cosmic exhale that never ends. You think about dark energy, the name we give to this invisible push. It is not a wind or a wave, but an absence that acts, an invisible breath expanding the fabric of space. No one truly knows what it is, only that it whispers through every inch of the cosmos. You imagine it like a tide beneath creation, lifting galaxies away from each other, soft as silk, irresistible as time. The Milky Way, your home, drifts too. Billions of years from now, its neighboring galaxies will have vanished beyond sight. The night sky, once littered with endless light, will grow sparse. The constellations will fade, one by one, until only a handful of faint stars remain, each one a dying ember in the cold. You can almost see it, the sky turning black, the quiet deepening. The last observers, if any remain, will look upward and see nothing beyond their own galaxy. They might believe they are alone in the void, that creation begins and ends with them. The evidence of the universe's birth will have stretched beyond reach, erased by distance and time. And yet, even in that solitude, beauty remains, because darkness is not emptiness. It is a kind of stillness, a pause in the story of light. You picture the stars themselves, each one burning through its fuel, fusing elements in its core, hydrogen into helium, helium into carbon, until nothing remains to ignite. One by one, they flicker out. Some end in silence, some in collapse, some in a final, radiant burst that seeds the void with dust. From that dust, perhaps, new worlds might briefly form, but fewer now, slower now. The rhythm of creation falters. As eons pass, the great engines of the cosmos, stars, galaxies, clusters, all begin to cool. White dwarfs fade to black dwarfs, neutron stars drift unseen, and black holes wait like deep wells of silence, slowly evaporating through the faintest hiss of Hawking radiation, a final whisper of quantum light. Even these giants cannot last forever. In the longest measure of time, a time so vast it dwarfs imagination, the black holes themselves will vanish. They will radiate their energy away, photon by photon, until even the idea of them becomes memory. You breathe in. The air feels thin, ancient. What would it mean, you wonder, for the universe to lose its last light? Would it be death, or simply rest? Science calls it the heat death, not a burning but an exhaustion. Every particle, every photon, evenly spread, unable to do work. Perfect stillness. No gradients, no contrast, no flow. In such a universe, nothing happens. Nothing changes. It is not destruction, but completion, the final sigh of existence. And yet, there is peace in that thought, because everything that was, everything that lived and burned and dreamed, had its moment in the light. Every atom in your body was forged in a star, every breath a continuation of ancient fusion. You are part of the long unfolding, a small, bright note in the song that once was. Perhaps the universe, too, will remember itself in that silence. Perhaps memory is the echo that survives even entropy. You imagine the last photon, the faintest trace of energy, wandering alone through endless space, carrying within it the story of all things. It drifts for ages, uncounted. No eyes to see it, no mind to name it, but it exists, a whisper of what was once a cosmos of light. And perhaps that is enough. You let your thoughts drift with it. You travel through the expanding dark, through the ghostly remnants of galaxies that once shimmered with life. You pass frozen planets, dark stars, quiet dust. The universe feels both infinite and intimate, a mirror of your own mind, vast and quiet, still unfolding even in its fading. The laws of physics remain patient and unbroken. Even in stillness, they hold their symmetry, their precision. Time does not stop. It stretches thin and transparent. The clock of existence ticks softer, slower, but never ceases. You realize, the end is not an ending, but a continuation of balance. Energy transforms, matter disperses, patterns dissolve, but nothing truly disappears. The same particles that once lit the first stars will still exist, scattered like dust through eternity. Maybe that is the universe's last secret, that nothingness is full, that even emptiness hums with unseen motion. In that endless dark, there is space for imagination, for the possibility, faint but real, that something might begin again. Some physicists wonder, could quantum fluctuations spark new universes? Could the vacuum itself, restless and alive, give birth to another Big Bang? You think of it like a dream, one cosmos exhaling, another inhaling. Creation as a rhythm, not a line. If so, then even the fading of this universe is not a death, but a breath, the pause between heartbeats in something larger, something beyond knowing. You rest in that thought. You imagine the dark not as a void, but as a cradle vast and calm, holding the memory of everything that ever was. The galaxies drift, the light fades, the silence deepens, and still something remains, a vibration in the nothing, a shimmer of potential, a hint that even after the long night, there may come another dawn. You breathe out softly, letting the idea settle. In the great hush of the cosmic future, you are both observer and participant, a fragment of awareness witnessing the universe fold into its own stillness. The stars may go, but the knowing of them, the feeling of their warmth, the memory of their light, stays with you. It is carried within every atom you hold, within every quiet pulse of being. You close your eyes and see not darkness, but depth, a space wide enough to hold both endings and beginnings. And in that stillness, in that infinite drift, you sense a question rising soft, eternal. If everything fades into silence, what, then, gives birth to the next note? You lie still, the air around you dim and gentle. The hum of the day has quieted, leaving only the rhythm of your breathing, in, out, a small tide within the vast ocean of night. Somewhere, far beyond the reach of sight, galaxies are drifting apart, each star system carrying its own quiet heartbeat into the expanding dark. And yet, in this room, within your chest, the same expansion is happening, softly, invisibly, patiently. You are a smaller universe learning to listen. It begins with your breath, the simplest form of cosmic rhythm. Each inhale is an arrival, each exhale a letting go. Between the two rests a stillness that feels almost infinite, like the moment after a supernova when space waits to remember what it was before the light. You feel that pause expand inside you, a soft gravity of calm pulling your awareness inward. Physicists call it entropy. The universe's long drift toward evenness, toward stillness, toward a state where all differences fade into one balanced hum. But here, in the gentle dark, entropy feels like peace. Not decay, but balance. Not loss, but return. The warmth of your skin balances the cool air on your arms. The weight of your body finds equilibrium with the bed that holds it. Everything settles into quiet agreement. There was once a time when silence did not exist. Only the roar of energy filling every atom, crowding every direction. After the Big Bang, the cosmos was dense with soundless fire, vibrating with frequencies too vast for ears to ever know. It took billions of years for that noise to soften, for expansion to stretch the wavelengths into what we now call the cosmic microwave background. That faint hum, the afterglow of creation, still surrounds you tonight. A blanket of invisible light that once sang and now only whispers. You are wrapped in the memory of that first song. If you listen closely, you can almost sense it. The quiet between your breaths holds a resonance older than your body, older than the stars themselves. The atoms that compose you, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, were once scattered dust, wandering between newborn suns. They drifted for eons before forming this singular pattern of being, you. When you breathe, those ancient particles move again, just as galaxies move. Expansion is not something you observe. It is something you participate in. Even your thoughts expand. One idea gives birth to another, rippling outward through the mind like waves of starlight through interstellar gas. Awareness, too, follows the same physics, spreading, cooling, finding balance. What begins as curiosity becomes reflection, then wonder, then quiet. You are both the observer and the observed, a small consciousness floating in the space of itself. There's a kind of paradox to all this, that you, made of dense matter, are mostly empty space. The protons and electrons that define you are separated by vast distances relative to their size, much like planets in orbit. If your atoms were magnified until their nuclei were the size of a marble, their electrons would spin somewhere several football fields away. Between them, nothing. And yet that nothingness is what gives everything form. The same emptiness that holds galaxies together holds you together, too. In this way, the silence inside you is not an absence, but a structure. It's the space in which everything meaningful happens, where thoughts form, where emotion stirs, where peace is found. When you close your eyes, you do not fall into darkness. You fall into the space, your inner cosmos, the silent geography of being. Scientists say that the expansion of the universe is accelerating, driven by something they call dark energy. It is invisible, unmeasurable directly, and yet it shapes everything, pulling galaxies apart faster and faster with every passing moment. No one knows what dark energy truly is, but perhaps on nights like this you can feel a kind of echo of it, a quiet urging inside you to grow, to stretch beyond what you already know, to expand not outward but inward, into gentleness, into awareness, into peace. When your mind slows down, when your thoughts drift toward sleep, you are doing what the cosmos has always done. Spreading energy thinner, softening contrast, moving toward equilibrium. The heat of thought becomes cool awareness. The spark of curiosity becomes the glow of calm. Even dreams, when they come, are like constellations forming in the dim nebula of your mind, brief, beautiful shapes made of memory and imagination. You turn your attention now to your heartbeat. It moves steadily, unhurried, like the slow pulse of a distant quasar. With each beat, it sends waves through the tiny universe of your body. Waves that keep your cells aligned, your breath steady, your awareness grounded. In the deep quiet of this moment, the boundary between heartbeat and cosmos begins to blur. You are not separate from the expansion. You are the expansion translated into a slower rhythm. There's comfort in knowing that the same physics guiding galaxies also guides you. The same balance between energy and stillness, between movement and rest. When stars die, they release elements that seed the birth of new ones. A cosmic recycling that ensures nothing is ever truly lost, only transformed. In your own life, too, every ending becomes an opening. Every release makes room for renewal. The silence that follows loss, though heavy, is also where light begins again. Perhaps this is what it means for the universe to be conscious of itself, to reach through you toward understanding. When you reflect on the vastness of the night sky, you are that vastness noticing its own reflection. The awe you feel is not separate from the cosmos. It is the cosmos, realizing it can feel. You breathe again, slower now. The boundaries between you and everything else begin to soften. The air enters you and leaves, yet remains the same air that has moved through forests, oceans, clouds, lungs. Each molecule you exhale tonight might one day drift into a star-forming region, becoming part of another life, another sky. In this sense, your breath is a continuation of cosmic rhythm, a small act of participation in infinity. As your body settles deeper into rest, your mind begins to wander toward the space beyond words. Thought slows to a gentle shimmer, a quiet field of awareness. In that stillness, you can almost feel the subtle hum of spacetime itself, a presence that holds everything without judgment, without need. The silence expands not just around you, but within you, folding softly into every heartbeat, every exhale, every drifting thought. The night, too, expands. Outside, the stars move imperceptibly farther from one another, yet their light continues to reach across the dark, touching you here, in this moment. You, lying still, are part of that ongoing exchange, the dialogue between light and space, between time and stillness. Somewhere far away, a galaxy slips beyond visibility, carried by expansion into a region from which its light will never return. But within you, another kind of light is being born, the quiet illumination that comes from understanding your place in all of this. Not at the center, not apart, but within. You are not a speck lost in the dark. You are the dark that holds the stars. Rest here in that knowing. Let the edges of your body blur into the softness of the air. Feel the hum beneath your thoughts, the expansion of space mirrored by the expansion of calm. Each heartbeat is a ripple in spacetime, a reminder that existence is not static but alive with gentle motion. The silence inside you is not the end of sound, but the beginning of resonance, the pure note from which everything else emerges. As your eyes grow heavy, the mind opens one last window, a vision of the universe as a great breath, inhaling and exhaling across eons. Perhaps it will expand forever. Perhaps one day it will draw itself back together, like the slow return of a tide. Either way, the rhythm will continue, as it always has, in you and beyond you. You drift toward sleep, carried by that rhythm. The galaxies continue their silent journey outward, and your thoughts dissolve into the same quiet motion. Everything is expanding, not in chaos, but in grace. And somewhere, between breath and dream, a thought forms and fades. If the universe grows without end, what new space might awaken within you when you next open your eyes?